No, just a dream. Just a dream. Just a dream. Not real. Not real. Books are real. I'm fine. I'm on the ground. I'm on the ground. I'm not. It's fine. It's fine. This is fine. It was real. It was fine. It's. Just need a distraction. Just need library. Work. Get my mind off this. Yeah. This is books. Calm down, Elwood. You're being hysterical. You're being hysterical. It was just a silly dream. It was just a dream, and it wasn't real. God, this is pathetic. See, everything's fine. Everything is where it's supposed to be. Everything is where it's supposed to be.
Oh,
goodness gracious.
Hello, Elwood. I thought you went home for the night.
I did. Goodness gracious, you need to stop. You need to stop jumping down of things in front of people.
It'll be fine. I didn't realise you were there, admittedly. I probably should have been looking where I was going. And perhaps jumping onto the mirror was not the smartest idea, but,
Yeah, you're going to break your feet.
or the mirror.
Well, one of those is a lot easier to replace, probably.
That's true, I suppose.
Arguably.
Is everything all right?
Yeah. I found that. I forgot to tell you. Yes, I found the books that you were asking for them 2 weeks ago, and I finally found them, and I forgot to.
Oh.
I.
Yes, I forgot the infectious diseases research. I was actually looking for some of these just now.
Well then,
I was wondering where a copy of Grey Heron's Anatomy had gotten to.
Well,
yes,
it
thank
was
you.
it was with the weird book on bird wing maintenance. Filed wrong. Found it.
I suppose that makes sense. I see. Well, thank you for bringing this back. I'm going to go up and put these in my study. Thank you.
Yes. You are so fast on these stairs every time.
I'm very used to them.
I mean, so am I at this point, and that is without me jumping down them. I walk them like a normal person.
That is true. I mean, you tend to walk most places, so.
Yeah. Well.
Sorry, that sounded like I was belittling you. That's not what I meant.
No, it was just a stating of a fact. I do walk pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. Yes. You can you can let me know if I'm prying at all. But do you mind if I ask why? Is it an injury? Because I'm somewhat used to wing injuries. I could maybe help.
No, my wings are fine. My wings are fine.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes.
Do you know anything about starlings?
I suppose bits and pieces, mostly about murmuration patterns and
yes.
the like.
Well, the murmurations they're big. They're supposed to be big. Several hundreds of individual animals at the very least, talking up to the thousands. And
yes, they're quite impressive displays.
They are, and I am just one.
Ah. I see.
That was not much of an explanation, I guess.
I suppose not, but I can broadly see where you're coming from, I suppose. I can imagine it's difficult to find oneself in a position to fly without others, if inherently you seek that level of companionship in the air.
Yes. Yes, that's... yeah. Yep. Birds.
Yes.
There are birds in this library at every corner.
There are... Pissarro likes to keep a lot of them in the study.
Indeed.
I don't know what the pelican is doing here. We can't get him to leave. The owls, I understand. This gentleman is just here.
He sure is. And the ostrich. The ostrich downstairs.
And the ostrich. Yes. I honestly feel a bit bad for the ostrich. I feel like he might be a bit cramped.
Yeah, he sure just
inside.
stays in a corner beneath a ladder the entire time.
Perhaps we should make him an enclosure at some point. I'll get on Peter about that.
Yeah, that might... You
perhaps
put up more shelves.
Yes.
I didn't realize.
Yes, the last few days I figured there wasn't really much point in having an empty wall when I wasn't putting the mind map on it anymore.
Well, it looks
might as well
nice.
make use of the space. Thank you. I'm quite happy with it. I hope they're sturdy. I hope they're not going to collapse on me. There's quite a lot of books on there. But
if I wanted to be an asshole, I would go over and start shaking it to test how sturdy it is.
I mean, it's bolted into the wall, so I hope it's... I mean, I trust my building seals. I built the rest of this place. It seems like it should be fairly sturdy.
Yes, so far nothing has crashed down.
Well, other than me going down the stairs, apparently.
True.
I know that we've spoken about Mojave and Mirasol briefly, but do you have a flock to fly out before? First, did you?
No, never.
Oh. I'm sorry.
It's... Thank you. It's not like I can... Reasonably, I cannot miss them. Because you can't miss something that you've not had. That is not how that works.
I think it could be. There's an absence, even if you never recognize the absence being filled.
I mean, it's not like there weren't other people, it's just...
There's a difference there, yes. I mean, I understand. I suppose I always had family in the sense that I had Pietro and I had our mentor, Giovanni, but...
Yeah, you mentioned them.
It would... I would be lying if I said that...
Briefly.
Sorry?
You brought them up briefly back when we were talking with Alma in your study about so very many things.
Yes, so I suppose they sort of got caught up in a lot of that. They were a librarian. Like Peter and myself, I suppose. They took us in, or they took Pietro in as a child, and then Pietro found me abandoned as a child, and I don't really think they gave Gio much of a choice beyond taking me in as well.
Well, like a cat dragging in something.
I suppose, yes, a bit like that.
Is that how you... Is that why you built this place?
Yes. For an attempt at regathering the life Peter and I always knew. We grew up in libraries and working as library assistants, and then we had to leave. And we had to leave Gio behind with the library, and
I'm sorry.
We never saw it again. It was a while ago now. It's just odd to think about what might have happened to it since then.
That's fair. If it was anything remotely similar to this size, then I think I have an idea.
Oh, it was much larger, much more magnificent. I think you would have loved it. The organization system was far more extravagant than ours has been. They kept it in very precise order. I think it existed long before Gio ever took over. But
that sounds lovely. Not just the organization, the concept of an even bigger library with even more knowledge.
It was. If I knew how to get back to it, I would offer to show you at some point, but in attempting to fly away, we weren't particularly focused on directions or getting back, and even if we could, I don't know if that island is still there.
That's fair. If you don't mind me asking, why did you have to leave?
I don't entirely know. Not. I mean, I can make a lot of guesses, especially now with what I've learned since about Giovanni's past.
You mean about the Avocane?
Yes. We were told that it wasn't safe to stay. That there were people coming, and that Algia would handle it and meet us somewhere else. And I suppose at the time we expected it to be temporary, or at least I did, and we never quite got the chance to settle down long enough that I asked questions. By the time we could start asking questions, it had been long enough that Peter and I had started actively looking for Giovanni rather than just running away. And I suppose after we made it here, it had become apparent that we needed to settle down somewhere before we could truly look back in any way.
That makes sense. I mean, this place seems to attract all sorts of people. Reason stands that if they ever show up, might as well be here.
I mean, I'd like to think that someday I would get to show it to them, yes. I think they would like it.
Well, I've never had the honor of meeting them, but this place is something to be proud of. Even before I corrected your organization system, I mean.
That's fair. I think that it was certainly in much need of correction in that aspect. I think you would like them.
Well,
and
they sound very nice.
They would like you. Yes, they were very practical in a lot of ways.
Well, I don't know about them liking me. I don't tend to be well liked, but they sound lovely.
You'd be surprised. I think you get along with people well enough.
History does not seem to agree with you.
That's fair. I'll admit I haven't known you for that long.
You asked about where I'm from. I left there when I was, I think, 16.
See.
Pretty sure that... I'm not sure if anyone cared to notice beyond maybe the house mother, and I think she would have been... I say house mother, but that... The mother part was purely in title. Not much in the ways of family.
See.
They never had a library,
I'm sure
but... No, it's fine. The house mother and two people working with her pretty much did what they could. They would pick up fledglings and try their best to wrangle them. People whose families had fallen, people whose families had disappeared, that sort of thing.
Yes, it certainly seems to be all too common.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes, I suppose that's just the state of our world.
Well.
I never had the luxury of a library there, but there was a remainder of a study. I think it had a total of maybe 10 books in there.
I mean, I know from personal experience sometimes the amount of books is less important than just finding ones that strike a chord.
Well, if you
capture you.
If you consider a dictionary and an encyclopedia to strike a chord, then...
I mean, I suppose they could, and I suppose that might explain certain things.
What is that supposed to mean?
No, you're just very literal at times.
That was way before I found the study. I was always like that.
Nice. Well, I suppose in that case, I can see an attachment to such books forming from that as well.
I suppose. Ironically, I used to think that any books that didn't contain just facts were frivolous. And that they were... that there was no use in stories and legends. I mean, now... Take a look at what I'm doing now.
I mean... It does say private. Should I...
I would not have given it to you if I didn't want
fair,
you to read it. You are good to read it.
This is... fascinating.
Now that I'm done sorting through the library, maybe I can actually sit down and... Thank you. There's this legend. I think I've been scouring for bits of it for almost 3 years now. More than 3. I think going on 5, it might even be.
Oh.
And I think I might have found enough things and remember enough things to finally reconstruct it. I mean,
that's amazing. Being able to reconstruct past documents like that, or past oral histories. I mean, from a preservation standpoint of linguistics and storytelling, it's an astounding accomplishment.
I don't know. I think it's just... I kind of fixated on it. It's easier when you don't stop places for very long and you just keep looking for knowledge. It is a lot easier to focus on one specific source. And if you spend nearly 5 years looking for just one specific core story, then you find enough scraps to attempt a reconstruction.
I suppose so, yes. What would you do with it once it's reconstructed, I suppose? I mean, we have the bookbinding section of the library. We can perhaps look at a publication run, if you would like.
Maybe. I don't know how many people would be interested in reading a depressing legend about a mill where people get sacrificed.
That is fair, but I mean, even for academic purposes, having a copy around might be nice.
I'll think about it.
Make sure that nobody has to reconstruct it in the future.
You make a fair point. I'll think about it, if I can actually reconstruct it sufficiently.
Yes, of course. And I mean, if you ever need somebody to work on reconstructions with, or a space to, I mean, there's plenty of space here, and I could always use a distraction from researching rather depressing diseases, so...
How's Dante doing?
About the same, to be honest.
Goodness.
I haven't seen a rapid decline in health, but it is spreading. Slowly, but, you know, by millimeters, based on my measurements.
Well, by millimeters is better than more, but that's not...
Yes, it's not exactly ideal.
I ran through the books, and there is nothing similar to what is going on with Dante and with, from what you and Armor said, other creatures.
Not as far as I can find.
Nope.
It strikes me as improbable, but that this is something entirely new. However, there's got to be something somewhere before now that this has happened, that there's some record of, even if it's just superstition and passed down through word of mouth. I wonder if I need to be looking under different names or different terminology for what's happening.
Perhaps. I mean, if you look at the legend side and, you know, legends and Sandcorn of Truth and then Mother of Pearl of tales and stories around it, there is plenty of stories that talk about people and souls and bodies being taken over by darkness, but that is usually meant metaphorically. At least that was my presumption. Maybe that is an angle to look at.
Might need to see if we can't find anything soon.
And the experiments have not yielded anything?
I haven't gotten the chance to check with Rune if he's had any more luck. You might be able to see it from here. Done some, I mean, mostly structural renovations to the particular... Sorry, I realize perhaps without flying, going right to the end is not the most comfortable.
I can fly. I might prefer not to, but I can, in fact, fly.
I know. You just seemed apprehensive going to the edge.
More because it's narrow and I didn't want to fall, more than anything.
Fair. But I've been working on making it a little more stable and a bit more easy to observe the creepers. It's still spreading for them somewhat faster than with Dante, but still considerably.
So then perhaps hostile creatures are more affected and it's just taking over, non-hostile. Like...
Perhaps.
No pun intended, but bird flu. Infecting other animals that aren't birds. That sort of thing. Like it's worse for the original species and then can be transferred to other species. Perhaps it's something like that.
If the particular composition of the disease isn't adapted to other species, it could be working slower. That could be a reason if it's slowly migrating through life forms. It's certainly an angle to investigate. I mean, especially considering we haven't had much luck with anything else.
Yes.
I'm hoping is a very strong word. I admittedly hope it doesn't spread to anything, but if it was something that we could more easily get a blood sample from, or really any kind of sample from, it might be easier to investigate. But as it is, I mean, creepers and spiders we're certainly not getting anything meaningful from, and
arguably you
Dante
could
is
attempt... This is going to sound unethical, and I'm glad that Armor is not here, but potentially one could attempt to purposefully infect a docile mob? A cow or a chicken?
Certainly could.
I don't know if I would want to.
No, I don't think I would want to. Especially if it is, like you said, something similar to bird flu and slowly migrating its way through species.
True, yeah.
Introducing it to something else and allowing it to propagate more may not be.
Yeah, that might
best,
put more creatures and more people at risk.
But it might also come to a point where we don't have much choice.
Well, let's hope that your results yield purpose. Not purpose, yield... I'm having a moment talking. That your experiments yield results. Before that becomes our last choice.
That would certainly be ideal. But I think at this point we may just be waiting for the clock to run out a bit more.
I can't tell if that is you being depressive or you being hopeful.
I think maybe a little bit of both.
Fair enough.
To be fully honest. I think... I know they say it takes things to get worse before they get better, but at this point I would really just take any progress in any direction over pure stagnation.
That's fair. Stagnation certainly does not ease the mind.
Yes, exactly. But,
Well, between you and Runthian and the other people around, it would be surprising if not some sort of result could be found.
I suppose. And I wouldn't discredit your own help in this. I mean, you're the one who's been finding books and the like.
I've been
not as if you haven't played some part.
I've been finding books, and I've been nagging you and your brother about how you put them in the wrong places. I don't know how much help that truly is. The books were already there. They were gathered by you and Pietro.
Well, yes, but it's certainly sped up the process of finding them, at least.
Fair enough. Fine, I will accept my role in this entire thing.
See, exactly. You can have a mention in the references of any papers published on such a disease once things are a little bit less urgent.
Where would you even publish the papers?
Well, like I said, we've got a bookbinding station, limited run, perhaps. alongside some reconstructed folktales, maybe.
That would be one very interesting publishing house. Medical scientific papers and reconstructed legends from the olden days.
Yes, I suppose that is a bit varied to pull under one umbrella. But was there anything I could help you with while you were up? And I mean, you came to the library, and I feel as though I sort of derailed you with new bookshelves and
honestly
talked about diseases.
Honestly, it is a weird thing to say, because objectively speaking, my house is not empty. There are things in it. There are frivolous things in it. There's pillows and blankets that your brother insisted on because apparently a single bed is not sufficient. And there is bookshelves, and I put a flower in there. Arguably, it is not empty. But it felt empty, and my dreams were empty, and I am not a fan of empty. And this place is arguably the one place that never, for all my nagging of it being chaotic and unsorted, and there's birds there, and there is eggs here, and dust and worms, and it's never empty.
I suppose you're right.
So I suppose
I'm glad it can be a space that isn't empty.
I didn't realize I was going here until I was up the staircase.
I certainly know the feeling of just being drawn somewhere. I am glad that you have the space here to be comfortable in the lack of emptiness and to be drawn here.
I'm glad too, I suppose. I still have questions about the dust. You talk about it as if it were sentient.
It is. Mildly.
It is.
Well, not all of the dust. The dust bunnies, they're little creatures that are partially made up of the dust. Can you not see them?
No,
they do like to hide in the corners.
I believe you might be the only person who sees them. And you can do with that what you will. I am not implying anything.
That is fair. You have seen the bookworms, however. The book Peter's bookworms exist.
Yes, and I still question why someone would purposefully have worms eating through their books as a librarian.
We only let them eat the ones that we have multiple copies of, and typically the ones that are in more disrepair than we can actively fix.
I am aware, but are you realizing how insane that sounds? When you look at it from a non-emotional standpoint, saying
when you pointed it out, yes.
Yeah. When we first met, and I asked about the dust, you immediately retorted with the dust bunnies and the worms talk to us.
You do have a point that in hindsight, and even at present, that sounds, I would say mildly concerning, quite concerning. But given there are people around us who actively speak to glowing sparks and lizards and hummingbirds, it is perhaps something that I had grown more accustomed to.
Fair point. Everyone seems to. See, I just talk to myself. Or, well, you.
Yes. No.
If I were on talking terms with Mojave, I would probably talk with them. But we've been over that. That is a complicated thing.
For what it's worth, I do hope that at some point you can perhaps talk to them about it again.
Me too.
Trust me, I know that the regaining that level of confidence in someone is very difficult.
True enough.
I mean, you both ended up here. Perhaps that is some sign of fate that worth at least giving it a try at some point.
What, do you believe in faith? Fate?
I don't not believe in fate, I suppose.
Fair.
I think that fate is as much as we read into it.
I think it's just more a thing of probability. But maybe that's all fate
is. I
don't know. It is too... What time is it? It is too dark outside. It is too late hours and too dark outside for me to have
this level of existentialism.
Yep. Yes.
Well, yes. Perhaps it is late enough that it is... Yes, time to get some sleep. Or at least relax a bit more than that.
Yes, certainly. I think I passed out on my bed without even properly putting the books away. If there are any folded over pages in the medical journals, then that is 100% my fault. I fell asleep on them.
Some pressing, they should be fine.
And if not, you can always feed them to the worms.
Exactly. I'm sure we'll find another copy of them somewhere.
Not in this library. It is fully sorted now. Those are the ones I found. Unless you have hidden them somewhere under the floorboards, like a beating heart.
I don't believe so, but to be fair, with the rest of what you've seen here, I can see why that is a possibility of something that could happen.
It was an attempt at a joke.
No, I understood. I just as far as I'm aware, there is no beating hearts on the floor.
Well, that would
be a cask of very, very old, expensive wine, perhaps, but no hearts.
You've hidden wine under the floorboards?
No, that was also an attempted a joke about. It was also an Edgar Allan Poe joke. It's fine. Don't.
It is decidedly too late hours, I believe, if I'm forgetting my literary references.
Yes, I think it was quite late. I might also head in for the night and let you get some rest here in the library. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad you found somewhere less empty to spend the night.
Me too.
Good night, Elwood.
Good night, Virgil. And good night to the dust bunnies, I suppose.
I'm sure they appreciate the well wishes. They say good night as well.
Well then.
I'll see you some other time.
I'll see you soon.